my name is Johan. I'm some fancy title at Paradox Interactive. Basically, I'm in charge of our internal development, and this is the latest product from our internal development team here at Paradox Interactive, which is Victoria 2. Victoria, as most of you may know, was a game released 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, it was a political economical simulator, kind of like the first one in its kind, that allowed you to play through a country, through the era of the industrialization and naturalism, and become a modern state. There were plenty of paths in that kind of game where you could become a social democratic state, or or even a communist dictatorship, or a fascist state, or a stable democracy, or constitutional monarchy. The options were pretty much endless in how you wanted to shape and forge your country. So now we have been working on a new version called Victoria 2. The great cool thing we're kind of proud of is that the map looks kind of nice. We have a full color scale map over the entire world in detail that looks, as I want to say, better than any game we ever made before at Paradox. Our focus, of course, has not just been, making good graphics, because we get beaten by pretty much everyone in making like Crysis and stuff. But we still want to make a game that feels like Victorian era game, where your colors are bright and colorful, you get all this golden ornamental graphics and red marble. We want to create a feel that you're playing in the 19th century. So what then is cool about Victoria? If we start with the budget screen, glorious. Numbers, stats, statistics, economy. First of all, we have this economy system where you basically can set whatever you want to tax, from your poor, middle, and rich people. These pie charts tells you, like, how happy are they by you taking that much tax. If there's a lot of red there, maybe you should not tax them, because they can't afford to buy the goods they need to survive or even have a luxurious life. We also have these things where you can take loans and repay loans from various. You have a national bank which tells you how much money you can actually get at the maximum. You have all these different expenses, and some expenses are fixed. I mean, your military costs a weapon cost the same amount of money. You have education. You can decide how much you want to spend on education, how much you want to spend on administration. Social spending, if you've enacted like social reforms, they cost money. And we also have military spending, because soldiers and officers like to get paid. All of this is an economical balance that you have to do. So what are the money then coming from in the game? Well, we have a new economical model, which is quite different from how it was in Victoria 1, where money sometimes magically appeared. Here we have a system where money are basically only generated from, new money is basically only generated from gold and precious metals into the game. The rest is money flowing from people operating factories. Can we go to the production screen? This is factories. Basically, a factory is an entity which is run by a capitalist. All different people have different titles, like capitalists, aristocrats, farmers, laborers, artisans, soldiers, clergy. I missed a few. These factories are run by capitalists, employing craftsmen and clerks, and they're basically buying goods on the market. The factory, with the amount of workers, produce a new goods. That goods is sold. They pay wages to their workers. They turn a profit. They invest the profit in other things. So what we're seeing here, this is a lot of stats, different goods. You can sort the amount of things. We've been working very hard on this interface. It may feel a little bit intimidating the first time you look at it, but it gives you a quick casual glance of all your factories at once. What you can do, you can interact with it and set priorities. What's interesting here is that we see numbers that are green or red. The red one, we can see that this factory is actually losing money. We have different options in different types of societies. If you're playing slightly like state-controlled capital, not really a free-flowing capitalist state, you can subsidize factories that are not going that well. You may want to have like a military industry in your country. It might be a good idea to subsidize it, because when you're at peace, you're not really making all that much guns and weapons because you're at peace. But at war, it might be a good time to have your own weapons industry because you can't import it. So you can subsidize that. Of course, if you're a true laissez-faire party in charge, you're not allowed to subsidize your factories, and then capitalists may close them. So you really have to like manage which parties are in charge. There's other things. You can close your factories. You can prioritize, like clicking on these little things. They're telling like, I want this factory. You should work in this factory. You're basically telling people that, come work here. In the old Victoria, you took like each manual little population, put them into a factory, took another population, noticed, oh, this guy's a farmer, but I need to educate him and make him to a craftsman. You have to do all this micromanagement by basically telling him, change him, put him there, change him, put him there. Well, that works very nicely if you're in like a Stalin-esque Soviet Union, but that's not really how it works. You don't really change people like that. So we have like these incentives, depending on which stage you're more or less, which type of state you're more or less power of, like how you can influence what people becomes and where they are allowed to work or want to work. There's two more things about the game that we can talk about now. We have the politics screen. Not 100% finished graphics. You may realize that the social reforms are pretty similar, but there's quite a lot of political reforms. So what's different here? Yes, you can't enact social or political reforms whenever you want. You don't have that 100% direct control over your state. Instead, you have an upper house you need to manage. If that upper house is consisting of conservatives, if conservatives have majority in the upper house, you cannot enact political or social reform unless the militancy of the country is too high, because then the conservatives are thinking, oh, it's too dangerous, we need to enact reforms to get people more happy. Liberals are always happy to enact political reforms. They don't want social reforms. While socialists, they don't really care about political reform. They want to get social reforms. Communists want to remove political reforms. Reactionaries want to remove all reforms. And fascists basically think that everything that's not fascist is bad. So this is kind of like a black and white view of how the world works, but it makes for different clear identifiable factors of how the game society works. Of course, you see the upper house here. We're in Belgium. We have a conservative majority, so we can't really do much because the country is nice and stable. We're allowed to change the party because we're His Majesty's government. There's different type of parties. They have different abilities, and this color indicates what type of ideology they are. So we have the Catholic Party here. We can switch to Nationalist Party, which have a state capitalist philosophy. They're reactionary. So when we switch to them, all the conservative people in the country gets really angry. And if the conservative people have a majority and their parties, well, if a party that has a majority of the people backing it is switched out, of course, a majority will not be happy. So you can't really switch parties just because of an election. You don't agree with an election. You have to really think what happens. You can also see what the different issues each voter has, so that you can affect them with the campaigns and newspaper propaganda to guide your people in the way that you want to form your state. The final one is populations. For those of you that played the original Victoria, much of the game was manage pops. We did not want to remove pops from Victoria 2 because, let's face it, Victoria without pops would not be Victoria. But we did not want people to go in, okay, I'm having this pop here, it should be that pop type, or this farmer should be a laborer here, and you have to constantly go in and out. So instead we have like combined pops. You do not have direct control over pops. You merely like guide and nudge and tell them like it's a good way to become farmer in this state. Then the farmer pops will grow and others will decrease. And those kind of like natural focus things you can give. I don't have that interface in yet, but we have this browser where you can basically go in, where we have like the country first, state, province. Did you just click try here? Then it switches and we see like this is only the POPs in that province, so we can see like in some there's different religion and which issues it is. POPs can have a spread of ideologies. A POP may be like 75% liberal, and another POP may be less liberal. And POPs is a collection of people that has the same religion and culture and work type. That's the quick kind of introduction of Victoria.